Welcome to War Bios, the podcast where we delve into the lives of history's most fascinating military figures and leaders. Today, we're going to explore the life of Franz Ferdinand, the Archduke of Austria, whose assassination sparked a global conflict that would change the course of world history. Imagine yourself standing in the grand halls of Graz, Austria, on December 18, 1863, as the news of Franz Ferdinand's birth spreads like wildfire through the imperial court. The sound of horse-drawn carriages echoes outside, while inside, the warm glow of candelabras casts a golden light on the faces of the assembled nobles and dignitaries. As a member of the Habsburg dynasty, Franz Ferdinand was born into a life of privilege and duty, with his family's history and legacy weighing heavily on his shoulders. Growing up, Franz Ferdinand was surrounded by the trappings of imperial power, from the opulent palaces to the majestic gardens, where he would spend hours playing with his siblings. However, his childhood was also marked by tragedy and loss. His father, Archduke Karl Ludwig, was a younger brother of Emperor Franz Joseph, and the family lived in the shadow of the imperial court. When Franz Ferdinand was just a young boy, his father contracted typhoid fever and died, leaving his mother to raise him and his siblings alone. This early experience of loss would have a profound impact on Franz Ferdinand's personality and worldview, shaping his sense of duty and responsibility to his family and his country. As he grew older, Franz Ferdinand was educated in the traditional manner of European aristocrats, with a focus on military training, languages, and diplomacy. He proved to be a diligent student, mastering several languages, including English, French, and Italian, and developing a keen interest in military history and strategy. His tutors noted that he was particularly drawn to the stories of great military leaders, such as Napoleon and Frederick the Great, and he spent hours poring over maps and studying the tactics of famous battles. The smell of old books and parchment filled the air as he delved into the world of military theory, his mind racing with the possibilities of conquest and glory. Despite his privileged upbringing, Franz Ferdinand's early years were also marked by a sense of disconnection from the imperial court. His mother, Princess Maria Annunziata, was a devout Catholic and a strong advocate for social justice, and she instilled in her son a sense of compassion and empathy for those less fortunate than himself. This exposure to his mother's charitable work and her commitment to helping the poor would later influence Franz Ferdinand's own views on social reform and his desire to modernize the Habsburg monarchy. As he walked through the streets of Graz, he saw firsthand the poverty and inequality that plagued the city, and his heart went out to those struggling to make ends meet. As Franz Ferdinand entered his teenage years, he began to take a more active interest in military affairs, attending maneuvers and training exercises with the Austrian army. He was particularly drawn to the cavalry, with its emphasis on honor, loyalty, and bravery, and he quickly proved himself to be a skilled horseman and swordsman. The sound of clashing steel and the thunder of hooves filled the air as he charged into battle, his heart pounding with excitement and his senses heightened by the thrill of competition. The historical context of Franz Ferdinand's early years was marked by significant events that would shape his character and future path. The Austro-Prussian War of 1866 had left the Habsburg monarchy weakened and vulnerable, and the rise of nationalist movements in the Balkans and elsewhere threatened to destabilize the entire region. As Franz Ferdinand grew older, he became increasingly aware of these tensions and the challenges that lay ahead for his family and his country. He began to see himself as a potential solution to these problems, a leader who could modernize the monarchy and guide Austria-Hungary through the treacherous waters of European politics. In the midst of this turmoil, Franz Ferdinand found solace in his relationships with his family and friends. His mother's guidance and support were instrumental in shaping his values and principles, while his friendships with other young nobles provided him with a sense of camaraderie and shared purpose. Together, they would explore the city, attending balls and parties, and engaging in lively debates about politics and philosophy. His birth, childhood, and early influences all played a role in forming his personality and worldview, and set him on a path that would ultimately lead to greatness, but also to tragedy. As Franz Ferdinand entered his early 20s, he became increasingly immersed in the world of military affairs, attending staff college with a sense of purpose and dedication that would soon set him apart as a skilled and visionary officer. The year was 1892, and the Austrian army, still reeling from the lessons of the Franco-Prussian War, was in the midst of a significant transformation. It was against this backdrop of change and modernization that Franz Ferdinand began to make his mark, quickly distinguishing himself through his exceptional leadership skills, strategic thinking, and a deep understanding of the evolving nature of warfare. His appointment to the general staff of the Austrian army marked the beginning of a meteoric rise through the ranks, one that would be characterized by his unwavering commitment to excellence and his unrelenting pursuit of knowledge. Working closely with prominent military leaders, including the Chief of Staff, Friedrich von Becker-Zukowski, Franz Ferdinand was exposed to the highest echelons of military strategy and planning. This period of his career was not merely about learning the intricacies of warfare. It was also about understanding the complexities of command, the psychology of leadership, and the moral fiber required to make decisions that would affect thousands. One of the most notable examples of his growing influence and strategic prowess was his involvement in the 1894 maneuvers. These military exercises were a proving ground for new tactics, technologies, and leadership styles, and Franz Ferdinand played a pivotal role in their planning and execution. His performance did not go unnoticed. It caught the attention of Emperor Franz Joseph himself, who began to see the young Archduke as a potential future leader of the Austrian army. The recognition was not merely ceremonial, it reflected a genuine appreciation for Franz Ferdinand's capabilities and his potential to shape the future of the military. On November 15, 1895, Franz Ferdinand was promoted to the rank of Major General, a milestone that marked a significant step in his ascent through the military hierarchy. Franz Ferdinand's relationships within the military and royal circles were complex and multifaceted. He formed close bonds with fellow officers who shared his vision for a modernized and more effective army. However, not all of his initiatives were met with enthusiasm. There were those within the conservative elements of the army who resisted change, fearing that the adoption of new technologies and tactics would undermine traditional values and hierarchies. Despite these challenges, Franz Ferdinand persevered, driven by a deep sense of duty to the Habsburg monarchy and a belief in the necessity of reform. His personal life also underwent significant changes during this period. On June 28, 1908, he married Sophie, Duchess of Hohenberg, in a private ceremony at Reichstadt Castle. This union was not just a personal milestone, it marked a turning point in his professional life as well. Sophie brought stability and companionship to Franz Ferdinand's often tumultuous existence, providing a foundation from which he could pursue his ambitions with renewed vigor and focus. As the years passed, Franz Ferdinand's reputation as a military leader and statesman continued to grow. He became known for his incisive strategic thinking, his ability to inspire loyalty and devotion in his troops, and his unwavering commitment to the Habsburg monarchy. His appointment as commander-in-chief of the Austrian army on September 12, 1913, placed him at the forefront of military planning and strategy, a position from which he could implement his vision for a modern, efficient, and effective fighting force. Franz Ferdinand's contributions to military strategy were profound, reflecting his understanding of the interconnectedness of political, social, and military factors in shaping the destiny of nations. He advocated for modernization, not merely as a means to enhance military prowess, but as a way to ensure the long-term viability of the Habsburg monarchy. His emphasis on strategic thinking, innovative tactics, and the integration of new technologies into military planning helped transform the Austrian army, preparing it for the challenges of the 20th century. Beyond the military sphere, Franz Ferdinand's commitment to social reform and his desire to modernize the Habsburg monarchy had far-reaching implications. He envisioned a future where the monarchy could serve as a force for good, promoting stability, prosperity, and social justice throughout the empire. This vision was not merely altruistic. It was grounded in a pragmatic understanding that the survival of the monarchy depended on its ability to adapt and evolve. In a speech to the Austrian parliament, Franz Ferdinand eloquently captured the essence of his vision. The future of our great nation depends on our ability to adapt, to innovate, and to lead. We must embrace change not as a threat, but as an opportunity. We must modernize not just our military, but our society, our economy, and our political structures. Only through such comprehensive reform can we ensure the prosperity and security of our nation for generations to come. This speech, with its call for reform, innovation, and leadership, encapsulated Franz Ferdinand's legacy. It was a legacy built on his unwavering commitment to the Habsburg monarchy, his vision for a modern and progressive Austria-Hungary, and his belief in the transformative power of leadership. As the years went by, the impact of his work would be felt far beyond the borders of Austria-Hungary, influencing military thinkers and leaders across Europe and shaping the course of history in profound and lasting ways. As the years went by, Franz Ferdinand's efforts to modernize the Habsburg monarchy and its military continued to bear fruit, albeit amidst growing tensions within Europe. The sound of clanging swords, the smell of gunpowder, and the murmur of discontent among the populace were all too familiar in this era of great upheaval. His commitment to reform and his vision for a more progressive Austria-Hungary were evident in his numerous initiatives, from military restructuring to social welfare programs. He was determined to bring his country into the 20th century, to make it a beacon of hope and prosperity in a continent torn apart by nationalism and militarism. However, not all of his endeavors were met with success or enthusiasm, as conservative elements within the monarchy and the army resisted change. The old guard saw Franz Ferdinand's reforms as a threat to their power and privilege, and they worked tirelessly to undermine his efforts. The Archduke faced opposition from many quarters, including the Hungarian nobility, who feared that his reforms would erode their influence and autonomy. Despite these challenges, Franz Ferdinand remained resolute in his pursuit of a better future for Austria-Hungary. His later years were marked by increased diplomatic efforts as he sought to navigate the complex web of alliances and rivalries that characterized European politics at the time. He traveled extensively throughout Europe, meeting with leaders and diplomats, seeking to build bridges and forge new relationships. In 1914, he embarked on a visit to Sarajevo, the capital of Bosnia, which was then a province of Austria-Hungary. The visit was intended to strengthen ties between the monarchy and the Bosnian people, but it ultimately proved to be a fateful decision. As Franz Ferdinand's motorcade made its way through the crowded streets of Sarajevo, the atmosphere was tense and foreboding. The city was a hotbed of nationalist sentiment, and many Bosnians saw the Archduke's visit as an attempt to assert Austrian dominance over their province. The sound of cheering crowds and the smell of freshly baked bread filled the air, but beneath the surface, a cauldron of resentment and anger was simmering. On June 28, 1914, while traveling through Sarajevo in an open car, Franz Ferdinand and his wife Sophie were assassinated by Gavrilo Principe, a young Serbian nationalist. The event sparked a chain reaction of diplomatic crises and military mobilizations that eventually led to the outbreak of World War I. As the news of Franz Ferdinand's assassination spread, it sent shockwaves throughout Europe, and the world was forever changed. The assassination of Franz Ferdinand was a pivotal moment in history, one that would have far-reaching consequences for Austria, Hungary, Europe, and the world. It marked the end of an era of relative peace and stability and the beginning of a new era of conflict and upheaval. As historians have come to reevaluate his life and work, it has become clear that Franz Ferdinand played a significant role in shaping the course of Austrian and European history. His commitment to social justice, his advocacy for military modernization, and his vision for a more progressive monarchy have been recognized as pioneering efforts that anticipated many of the changes that would eventually come to pass. He was a true leader, a man of great vision and courage, who was willing to challenge the status quo and push for reform even in the face of overwhelming opposition. Though his efforts were ultimately cut short by tragedy, his legacy continues to inspire and inform our understanding of the complex interplay between politics, society, and military power. His story serves as a reminder that even the most well-intentioned efforts can have unintended consequences, and that the course of history is often shaped by a combination of factors, including chance, circumstance, and human agency. Today, Franz Ferdinand is remembered as a complex and multifaceted figure whose life and work reflect both the promise and the peril of his time. He was a man of great passion and conviction who was driven by a desire to make a positive impact on the world. His legacy is a reminder that true leadership is not just about achieving power or influence, but about using one's position to serve others. As he once said, the true measure of a leader is not in his ability to wield power, but in his willingness to serve others. These words capture the essence of Franz Ferdinand's character and provide a fitting epitaph for a life that was marked by both tragedy and triumph. His story is a powerful reminder that leadership is not just about personal ambition or glory, but about making a positive difference in the lives of others. It is a lesson that continues to resonate today, as leaders around the world grapple with the challenges of a rapidly changing world. As I always say, a true leader is not one who seeks to dominate or control, but one who seeks to serve and inspire. That's all for today's War Bios. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, I'm General Biography reminding you to keep marching toward victory.